Hi, I'm Eric Persing with Spectrasonics, and I'm here with Sweetwater's Worship Sound Pro. And I'm here to tell you about some really cool things that we're doing with Omnisphere 2. A lot of you guys have probably heard about Omnisphere if you're using it in your church now. A lot of churches use Omnisphere, and it is a great instrument for worship and houses of worship because of all of the ambiances and textures and atmospheres that it does. It's pretty cool. And so I use it in my church myself. So a lot of the stuff that I do, I design for myself when I'm doing worship. So it's a wonderful instrument for this. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the features in the brand new Omnisphere 2 that particularly apply to worship sets and working live, because we've added a lot of things. Make sure you see the other video that goes through all of the new features with synthesis. But in this video, I'm going to talk specifically about some wonderful things that apply to when you're using it in a worship set. Okay, so you can see that the Omnisphere 2 has a wider interface. And one of the things that we can do here is we have a mini browser on the left side. So whenever you're using the instrument, you can very quickly go to whatever you need. So I can select sounds here on the left. And one of the things that's really cool is that as I go through sounds, look how fast I'm selecting sounds. Very, very fast. That's because Omnisphere 2 has fast progressive loading. So there's no more waiting. So especially when you're on stage, you're in the middle of a rehearsal, your worship leader is saying, I need the sound right now, you know. You can switch just like you would on a hardware synth. So that's pretty awesome. And that's because we have this new progressive loading feature. So that's really, really handy. We also have everything organized in the browser. So this is the little mini browser, but I'm going to open up the big browser, and now you can see the full interface has all of the browsing capabilities. And for instance, let's say we're doing a texture. We've got a texture behind a prayer or something like that. What you can do is we have all of the sounds have been reorganized in Omnisphere 2 so that they're much easier to find, because Omnisphere 2 has more than 10,000 sounds. That's a lot of sounds. If I look tired, that's why I'm tired. But when you have that many sounds, you can get lost. And you know there's stuff like, you know, what you want, but it can be hard to find it. So we have everything organized by mood. So for instance, let's say you want to have something that's kind of a floating vibe. And so we've got sounds that are geared that have like this kind of that kind of a thing. Or here's another sound that's kind of a floating thing. Or something that's more euphoric. And so here's or you could have something that's more somber. And then you could have kind of all of these sort of more drone kind of things. So it's really, really useful because you can filter out the other sounds. You don't have to go to the disturbing sounds, because that doesn't tend to work very well in a worship service. But there's a peaceful. You can see things by peaceful. And so let me see what I've got in here. Land of Sonic Bliss. So you can find the kinds of sounds that you want to use much, much faster. And one of the coolest things that we have is especially, like, let's say you found a sound you like. Let's say you've got, let's say we've got some kind of like a pad. Like we've got, okay, here's this warm air pad. You're like, I love that patch. I wonder if there's any other patches like that. Well, you don't have time in the middle of a set to figure out if there's anything like it. We have a new feature called Soundmatch, and so it will instantly analyze the library, and here's all of the other sounds that are just like that. Another thing that is great is the new sound lock feature. A lot of times you have sounds in worship because you need to be able to play at any tempo. So sometimes we have patches that evolve over a very long time, but it's hard to play chord changes with those kind of sounds. So like this particular sound, it's got a nice kind of fast attack. So it's like I like that envelope, right? That envelope works really well. I wish I could just keep that envelope. And now you can with sound lock. So we'll go up here and lock, and I can lock anything. I can lock the arpeggiator, I can lock the effects, I can lock the filters, and I can even lock the envelopes. So now everything I play has that same nice attack. So I'm not having to adjust the attack and the release constantly, right? Something you do all the time when you're setting up for a live gig. So there's a lot of features in Omnisphere 2 that really make it easier to use in live performance and when you need to make very fast changes. Another great feature that I don't talk about in the other demo, which is very cool for worship, is live. We have live mode. And if you're not using live mode with Omnisphere yet, you're missing out. Don't try to do everything just with main stage. Live mode is super powerful because what it lets you do, live mode lets you have different sounds and you can stack them and layer them in real time. We've got an iPad app that was wonderful called OmniTR. You just select the sounds you want. Whatever you touch is what you play. We've had it for a while. It's fantastic. But one of the things is that live mode lets you do this very fast changing of sounds. And then we have a stack mode that lets you split and layer. And you can do splitting and layering of sounds very quickly and easily. But this was all available in Omnisphere 1. But what if you wanted to have fast selection of sounds, layering, but with split sounds? You really couldn't do that. You had to choose between something that was mapped with different zones versus something that was in live mode. Now you can set your sounds. You can set your splits in stack mode, and then you go to live mode, and you just turn on this feature that says, let me find it here. Yes, stack mode note regions. And that keeps your splits. So you can set up your splits in live mode. So that's really a super handy feature for live performance. You want to kick in a lead sound at one part of the song. You want a hit that's layered with a pad, but it's only on this part of the keyboard, like the high notes, or a nice bass drone or something that kind of kicks in. You can do all that on the fly, all from the iPad selecting or from your MIDI controller. So that's super useful when you're playing live, super useful when you're doing a worship set. So Omnisphere 2 is so powerful. Like I said, the synthesis is crazy expanded. Every part of Omnisphere is expanded. We have 25 new effects, over 10,000 sounds now, over 3,000 brand new sounds. It's huge. It's so big, there's no way I could possibly demo all of that in just a couple of minutes. But those are a few of the things that are particularly really cool with for the worship environment and worship sets. So check it out. And thank you for your support. And Omnisphere 2 will be out April 30th. And it's the same prices as Omnisphere, $4.99. You can get it at Sweetwater. If you have Omnisphere 1, you can upgrade to Omnisphere 2. And you can order your upgrade through Sweetwater, which is awesome. And so because Sweetwater is going to be carrying those, and the upgrade is $249. So it's killer, and it'll be out on April 30th. So thanks a lot.